Today is Saturday, September 10th, 2022. It is also day 204. Nope, it's day 215. Let me fix that. Of Blender. And today I'm going to do what I did in day 213, which was a text, just a 3D text, but with a PBR texture instead of like my own material. I'm going to try to get this material and apply it there. It's not really going to, do anything like crazy. It's just going to give it some, some color that I would otherwise have to make myself. So I downloaded this from ABNCG, and again, this will always be linked in my little logs here, um, which are in the description box below. So I'm just waiting for it to download. So it should be opening now. So once you click download over here, open it at the bottom corner, and then I just like to take it all out of my zip file and put them in my desktop, and then I create a new folder, call it, I don't know, what is this thing called? Metal, let's rename. Um, I'm just gonna call it gold metal, and then I'm going to put all of those materials into that folder just so that it's easier for me to access these in Blender. And then I like to put it in my Blender folder and then put that in my materials. All right, now back in Blender, I'm going to go to General and I'm going to go into Geometry Nodes, hide the spreadsheet, click on New for a new Geometry Node system, and I'm just going to make this text using Geometry Nodes. So I'm going to disconnect the input from the output, and to get the actual text, I'm going to do Shift A and search for a string to curves node, and then connect that to my output node so I'm able to see it in the viewport. But I don't see anything yet because I haven't told Blender what I want my string or my text, right? They're the same thing, to be. And I think I'm just going to say something like queen. And then I obviously don't want it to be flat, so I'll do Shift A and get a transform node so that I can transform the string so that it rotates 90 degrees along the x-axis, which in this case is the red axis. So now it's standing up, which is pretty good. Now what I'll do is do Shift A and get a fill curve node, and that's going to fill up the curves and give them faces. And I'm going to change the fill type to n-gons, and the reason why is because if I go to wireframe, I'm able to see how the strings or the text or the letters are wired with the vertices, that it's very messy, and when I change it to n-gons, that cleans it up a lot, so that's good. And then the last thing I would do is Shift A and get an extrude mesh node, and that's going to give the letters some thickness, right? And so I'm going to change that value to 0.1. And if I go in the back, I do see that it's hollow on the back. It's not filled in the back. So to fix that problem, I'll do Shift A and get a join geometry node, and that's going to join both the extrusion mesh node and the fill curve node, and then now it's filled in the back, right, which is perfect. And then the last thing I would do is do Shift A and get a set material node and put that in here and just select the material, and then that's where we're gonna put our PBR texture under the shading viewport. But before that, I lied, the last thing is to change the actual font. So I downloaded this font from defont.com. It's called, let me see, it's the one I use in day 213. It's called Love Plants, and it's by Eddie Goodboy by defont.com. I have it linked, right? And I'm just going to go to the folder, and for me personally, I have a font folder, so I just go there and get that font if I could ever find it. Love Plants, open font. And now that is what it's looking like, which is pretty nice. All right, and if I want some character spacing, I can do that also. Maybe I can do 1.3 to give it some character spacing, or maybe 1.2 would look better. All right, and now onto the materials. So I'm going to go into shading, and before doing this, you might want to do Control S to save. And once here, I want to make sure that I'm clicking on Principled BSDF. This won't work if this green box isn't selected. And then I want to make sure that I go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and I make sure that Node Wrangler is on. So it wasn't on for me, so I need to make sure that's on. Check that on, and then as I click on Principled BSDF, I want to do Control Shift and then T, and that's going to open up this little, oh, I don't even know what to call it, this thing. And then I'm going to go to where my material is, which I called it gold metal, and I'm going to select the first material and then shift select the last one, and then click on this principled texture setup. And that is just literally that is setting up my principled texture, right? My texture basically. So it's going to add that to the actual string, and we'll be able to see that in a few moments. And now I'm able to see the texture. Honestly, I think I could have gotten this with the yellow, but I don't think I could have gotten like the shiny, you know, like texture with the yellow. I wonder if, no, I think that's good. Um, What else am I gonna do? Nothing. Let me go to layout and then do Shift A, mesh, plane to add a backdrop. So this is just the background stuff now. I'm gonna do G to grab and then X to grab along the X axis to move this a little bit towards the middle. The X axis again is the red one. I'm going to go into edit mode and I'm going to make sure I click on the middle button here. It's called edge select. I'm going to select the back edge and I'm going to press E to extrude the edge, which basically means to enlarge it, I guess, or extrude it, and then Z as I'm, holding E, so it extrudes along the Z axis, which is the blue one. And I'm gonna go back into object mode and go to the little wrench icon here and add where is it? A bevel. And I'm going to increase the amount and the segments, and it's going to look as if as a backdrop. And then I probably should do something more like eh, something like this. And then I'm going to go to this little arrow and click apply. Now I'm going to right click shade smooth to get rid of any extra lines in there. And what I'll probably do is scale this on the x axis by pressing S and then X, and then go into rendered preview so I could actually see the result. I'm going to select the light, go to object data properties, change it to a sun, and change the strength to 3. And then I'm going to go and press on G to grab, and then Y to grab along the Y axis, R to rotate so that it rotates kind of this way so it's facing this. And then the last thing would be to set up my camera. So in this case, I would just do front view by pressing the button under the escape key and hovering over front, and then kind of just playing around with that. And then I'll do Control Alt Numpad 0. Now, if that doesn't work, go to Edit, Preferences, Input, and make sure Emulate Numpad is on. And if it still doesn't work, make sure you have a camera in the first place by doing Shift A and adding a camera. So Control Alt Numpad 0, and this is what it's going to end up looking like. It's going to align my camera to the view. To get out of this view, press the middle mouse button. To get back into the view, press on numpad 0. So just move it a little bit to the right. Something like this maybe would be good. I could also do something like this so it looks a little more 3D. So I think I'll render this. So what's a good, let me go to material properties, right? Click on new, and then, I don't know, figure out what color that would go. Maybe something like this. I know that green also would be a good color. Let me copy this real quick and then go to, well, no, never mind, not green. It would be yellow on green. Purple looks really, really good with this. So I could do this type of purple, or I could do something like this type of purple, which is kind of more purple than this type of purple. I don't know which one's better. Maybe this one. I think this is better. So what I'll do now is just click on render. Well, first of all, let me do Control S to save, and then render image, and that's literally it. That's all there is to it. And then I'm gonna go back and actually render it from a different perspective, just because I wanna see it in a different perspective. So I'm gonna do image, save as, and I'm going to go to Blender, go to renders, and then save this as today's date, so 9/10/22, and then R for render. Save as image. I'm gonna X out of here, and then I'm gonna try to do another view. So right now this is what I'm looking like, but I kind of want to do something like this so that I could see it this way, right? And then I'll do G on the plane and just move it towards the right a bit, do not control, G and X. All right, and then I'll do Control Alt Numpad 0 here. So it's gonna end up looking like this now, which is pretty cool. And maybe zoom in a bit. And then at this point, I can also render this image and see what that looks like. Right? Beautiful, beautiful. I could do image and then save as, and then I'll just do add a 2 at the end there. .png, and there we go. So I think I'm gonna post this one actually. It's really cute. And yeah, that's it for today. Bye.